her life looks so interesting. I wish I had that life. Wow, this girl is so pretty. I wish I looked like her. What? She started a company at 27 and earned 100 million? Oh my god, I can't believe she's got such a huge Hermes bag collection. Do you compare yourself to other people? Does it make you feel shitty about yourself? Well, we've all been there. And with social media, it's especially easy for us to compare ourselves to other people. I mean, people used to compare themselves to others too, before social media, but they only compare themselves to people like their colleagues or neighbors or whatever. I don't know about you, but I don't even talk to my neighbors. They probably think I'm crazy because I sing really loud at home, but that's about it. Now, with the help of social media, we can virtually compare ourselves to everyone around the world, in addition to the people we know in real life, which is just great. So what is the psychology behind this whole comparison thing? Why does it make us feel so bad? Well, according to Jordan Peterson, who is a well-known clinical psychologist and a professor at the University of Toronto, here's how it works. First, your internal critic selects a single arbitrary domain of comparison. It could be something like money, power, fame, or appearance. Then, it acts as if this domain is the only one that's relevant, like everything else doesn't matter. And then, it contrasts you unfavorably with someone truly stellar within that domain. For example, when it comes to wealth, you compare yourself to a super rich person. When it comes to looks, you compare yourself to a really beautiful person. And when it comes to talent, you compare yourself to the best in the field. Well, of course you're gonna feel pretty shitty about yourself. Now the question is, how do we stop doing this to ourselves? You know, it'd be great to not feel shitty. The first thing you need to realize is that you can't see the whole picture. You don't know the person you're comparing yourself to very well. It's like you're comparing your whole life, the good and the bad, to a tiny fraction of the other person's life. And that tiny fraction is usually a nice version that's been carefully orchestrated, which is not fair to you. You can never see the full picture of their reality because you're not them. And plus, with social media nowadays, we all know it's so easy to manipulate your image and control what you want or don't want other people to see. Essentially, you're just looking at the highlight reel of other people's lives. Now, I don't think that's necessarily a bad thing because you don't want people to know everything about your private life, and they don't need to. It's called a healthy boundary. I was looking at my old photos the other day and I was thinking, wow, good for her. That girl was happy. But then I looked at my journal from the same period and I was like, wow, this girl is going through some inner turmoil. I almost fooled myself, okay? Imagine if you're just looking at someone else's photos, you have no idea what's actually happening in their lives. I think most of us are not trying to put on a happy face on purpose or something. It's just that we're more likely to take a photo and share it when we're happy. Will you ever feel like taking a photo of yourself when you're crying? Like, oh, I feel so sad. Wait, let me take a photo of myself. That's not a good one. Let me take another one. No, nobody does that. The truth is, everyone has some sort of suffering in their lives. It doesn't matter how rich they are, how pretty they are, or how successful they are. Their suffering might be different from yours, but most of them don't have the perfect life as you imagine. So in a sense, you're comparing yourself to an illusion that's created by your own mind. You're comparing yourself to an ideal that doesn't really exist. Now that you understand you can't really see the full picture, hopefully you feel a bit more at peace with it. Now, if you catch yourself feeling bad when you look at other people's lives, just ask yourself, what part of it makes you feel bad and why? Is it because there's something you lack? And what can you do about it? Now, I have to say that there are people out there who are deliberately trying to show off and make you feel inferior. My advice is, if they make you feel bad, just separate yourself from them or unfollow them if it's on social media. They have their own insecurity issues that they need to deal with, and you don't have to be on the receiving end of that. They're actually pretty easy to recognize. Personally, I do not hang out with those people or follow those people. End of story. But usually, when we compare ourselves to others, it's not so much the other person. Like, they literally did nothing to you. They probably don't even know you. And yet, you still feel bad. If that's the case, then it will require you to look internally and see what the problem really is. This is important because you don't want it to turn into jealousy. Jealousy is pretty miserable. I've been there. I don't ever want to go there again, and neither should you. I think it doesn't matter if what makes you feel bad is caused by the other person trying to show off or your own internal issues. The first step is to separate yourself from it. You need a bit of distance to see things clearly and analyze why something triggers you. And it's okay if you end up deciding you want to stay separated from it. You don't have to accept everything that's thrown your way. I'm talking about social media specifically here. Like I mentioned, we are faced with a unique challenge that the previous generations haven't faced before, and we haven't been taught how to deal with it. All of a sudden, we can look at virtually everyone's lives if they decide to put it online, which wasn't even possible just 10 years ago. What we're exposed to has grown exponentially. There's no filter, everything is just thrown in your face. It's really overwhelming. So we need to be careful what we consume. Sometimes you don't actually want certain things, but social media makes you believe you do. Oh look, this person has a picture-perfect lifestyle and you don't, so you suck and you need this product to make you feel better. It's probably just a social media campaign, but your brain couldn't differentiate it because that's the power of social media marketing. Well, if you compare yourself to that, no wonder you're gonna feel like crap. Now, I don't look at social media that much anymore. I'm very selective about what I consume. I only follow people who are authentic and real, and I only consume content that's either educational or really funny. That's just my personal preference because these are the things that make me feel good, and I try to be as real as possible with you, and I try my best to produce content that could make you feel good. By saying I want to make you feel good, I don't mean I'm just gonna tell you some nice bullshit that's easy on the ear, okay? I'm not here to tell you, oh, you're perfect and there's nothing you need to improve on. We all have something we can improve on. If you find that you're comparing yourself to others and it makes you feel bad because you realize there's something you lack, then do something about it. Comparison in itself is not a bad thing. It can even give you inspiration and drive sometimes. You just need to stop obsessing over it in your head and take some actions to improve. Some people are lucky in a conventional sense. They're born with money, they're born beautiful, but like I said, they also have their own kind of suffering too. And these are the things that you can't change. Things like your family background and your physical feature are pretty much decided for you the day you were born. So it's kind of fruitless to focus on the things that you can't change. But the majority of the people who are doing well for themselves, who you might be comparing yourself to, have worked their ass off to get there, and they can be an inspiration for you. Remember, their success does not take away from yours. If you work on improving yourself day after day, year after year, you can achieve your own form of success too. I think Jordan Peterson says it best. He says, don't compare yourself with who someone is today. Compare yourself with who you were yesterday. Like I mentioned before, you don't know the people you're comparing yourself to very well. But who do you know really well? That's right, yourself. And plus, you are different from everyone. You have your own unique background, personal experience, strengths and weaknesses, so it's actually pretty hard to compare to anyone other than yourself anyway. Can you be a little bit better than yourself yesterday? Of course, and that's a game that you can actually win. Do you like winning? I like winning. Say you realize the reason you keep comparing yourself to someone is because you want to achieve what they've achieved. First, you need to ask yourself, do you actually want the exact same thing they have? Most likely no, and you can't. But you probably want a certain aspect of it. Well, what is that certain aspect? And with your unique circumstance, how can you achieve that? Now this will become your goal. You take inspiration from someone else and you make it your own. Then, once you clarify your goal, you break it down into small steps. What is this one little thing I can do today that can get me closer to this goal than yesterday? It doesn't have to be big, and it shouldn't because it will discourage you. And as you keep making the small steps and putting in the work consistently, day in and day out, before you know it, you get there. And then you can look back on the past version of yourself and say, I win, bitch. Okay, maybe don't do that. I would like to end this video with another Jordan Peterson quote. You should be better than you are, but it's not because you are worse than other people, but because you're not everything you should be. May we all become the better version of ourselves. Ew, this is so cheesy. Okay, bye.